Good evening everyone, and welcome to Raina Mo's Designs. And today we are going to be working on some Harley Davidson inspired toasting champagne flutes. So if this sounds like a tutorial that interests you, please keep watching. So the items that we will need are our trusty glue gun. We're also going to need our nippers. You're going to need whatever cord type style that you want to use for your champagne flute, embellishments, more bling, a foam brush and some Mod Podge, your scissors, as well as a toasting flute, and I use a vessel to hold my Mod Podge in. So these are all of the things that we're going to need to get started. So first things first, you want to start off with a very clean toasting flute. You don't want to have any kind of oils or anything on it. So I used Windex already to clean that out. And I'm going to start putting a little bit of Mod Podge into my vessel, because we're going to start on the bottom and we're going to work our way up. Now you can do it vice versa and start at the top and work your way down, whichever way is more convenient for you, because you may decide that you want to use nothing but bling on your champagne flute. You may decide that you want to use one continuous cord and not switch up the colors, which is what I'm going to do. So it really depends on how you want your particular champagne flute to look as to which part you'll actually start. But I'm going to be using the black and the purple of these cords on this particular vessel, because those are some of the colors in the wedding. And I'm going to start with black on the bottom, so I'm just going to open up my package. And now I'm just going to unwind the cord, because I find it easier to have it off of the cardboard palette, if you will, when I'm working with it, as opposed to working with it on the palette. So starting at the bottom, I'm just going to use a little bit of Mod Podge and just paint along the outside rim of my toasting flute, and also a little bit on the top. I'm not going to paint too terribly much, because I don't want to use a lot of Mod Podge just yet, because we know from doing this, working with Mod Podge repeatedly, that it actually dries super fast. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by placing my cord around the bottom of my glass, affixing it, and then I'll add more Mod Podge onto the cord to kind of saturate it like we always do. And before the end of this particular tutorial, you'll see I will transfer everything onto the Lazy Susan as I'm wrapping it around and around, because it'll just make it easier. But to get it started, I'm just getting it started on my blue mat. And you just wrap the cord around, and then when you get to the very beginning of where you started, then you want to overlap it and bring it upwards. And this is one of the very important places where you definitely need to Mod Podge the cord so that it gets fully saturated and adheres to the champagne flute. And I'm just slowly but surely attaching the cord and using a little bit of Mod Podge to help it stick. Now, if you wanted to use hot glue, you can, but this cord, I don't want it to be oversaturated with hot glue, because in order to do it, I find I end up getting my fingers stuck and it pulls the glue outward where people can see it, and I don't really want that. So that's why I'm working with the Mod Podge. I find it works better with the Mod Podge. But this is a delicate process that is going to take you some time, you know, obviously to get used to it, because we are wrapping it around and around and it wants to not stick. You're gonna find that. But just be slow, patient, and diligent, and it will turn out absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to continue keeping on doing exactly what you see me doing, affixing the cord, putting Mod Podge on it, and giving it time to kind of settle down and adhere. And then when I come back, I'll show you once I've gotten it about halfway up doing this process. Okay. So when you're done wrapping the bottom of the glass, all you'll need to do next is to move on to the next portion of wrapping, which I'll be using this bling wrap that I got from Amazon. You know, guys, I got this during the time of my wedding in silver, and it's like a 2mm rhinestone continuous chain. So I'm going to be using that to wrap the stem portion of the glass. So, excuse the noise. So this is the part where I'll actually be needing to use the hot glue. So I'm going to start, you can start at the top or you can start at the bottom. I'm going to start at the bottom, and right where the cord stops is where I'm actually going to start. Now, I have to say, because this is glass and it's cool in my house, you gotta work really quickly, because the hot glue is gonna set real fast. So I just try and put a small amount of the glue and spread it out, because the spreading, it thins it out, unfortunately, but fortunately also it lets me get a bigger surface area, so that possibly if it doesn't cool too fast, which it just cooled just that quickly, I would be able to get it started and be able to get a couple of rows on one dollop of glue. So I'm pressing it in just a little bit. And I'm going to add a small amount of glue again, because it cools so fast. But once you get it started, everything else is easy. So I've gotten the first 3 stones, I would say, affixed to the glass, and I know that it's secured to the glass, so now I can actually start wrapping. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now, if you'll see, since I had to do this twice, there's like a glop here of glue. So for that, I'm gonna take my blade, because you don't wanna just go over that glop of glue, because you're gonna have like a bump there. So I'm just gonna take my blade and I'm gonna remove the excess. So you must be very careful when working with this project. And keep in mind that with this particular hot glue, it has different size tips. My tips have been misplaced. So if you're using a hot glue gun like this, with tips, then make sure you use the one that has the narrow point, so that way you can actually get a pinpoint amount of glue onto your vessel and you don't have to worry about this extra cleanup. But since I don't have that and I'm working with what I have, I am going to just carefully remove it with a blade. So I'm just kind of rocking it back and forth to make sure that I have it cut all the way through down to the glass, and then I'm just going to pick at it from the top so that I can remove it carefully without messing up the work that I've already done. Okay, there's one piece. Let me get this little bitty piece. And also you want to be careful because you don't want to accidentally cut yourself. Remember, this is a sharp blade. So I have removed the little excess of hot glue, and I'm going to continue wrapping. And about probably maybe every 3 rows to 2 rows, it's probably going to be 3 rows, then I'll go ahead and I'll put another little bit of hot glue and wrap. And I want to do all of this in the same area where I put the other hot glue at, so that it's all basically in the same area. And if you wrap it fast enough, like I was saying, then you'll be able to secure multiple. Yes, see, that was quick enough that I actually secured all 3 layers of that chain. So now I can wrap another 2-3 layers and put some glue and then do the same, just making sure to always loosen your chain, okay? Because that will slow you down if you keep wrapping and you don't loosen enough of it. So I'm just going to continue with my method of adding a little bit of glue, spreading it out, and then wrapping. And be careful because this chain can turn on you, which you do not want it to do, but it can turn on you. And you'll be gluing the actual rhinestones to the glass. So just be very, very careful with how you wrap it. And this is relatively quick and easy, but it takes time. It takes time. This is definitely a labor of love, but it's so worth it because it is so very, very pretty. We're getting close to the top, and once we get to the top, I'll show you the next step. So now I've taken the purple cord off of the cardboard, and I'm going to go ahead and start the same process, but this time, because I'm working upward and gravity is pulling me down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the top and matching the seam so that at least all of these areas can kind of be like covered. I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to work my way down, and on this I'm going to be using hot glue. I'll go back over with Mod Podge, but just for the time being I'm going to be using hot glue. Now if you feel, you know what, I think I am going to start from the bottom. Sometimes starting from the top is better, but I think I'm going to go ahead and start from the bottom because I do have, well, this piece of hot glue is a little bit still tacky, so I'm going to go ahead and start from the bottom. And you want to just continue in the same motion, just wrapping. I'm holding it so that I can make sure that that cord is secure. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start wrapping. And the Lazy Susan makes this a lot easier in the fact that you can actually move it this way, but I'm a little hard-headed and I just feel more comfortable doing it by hand. But as you can see, the Lazy Susan will do the exact same work for you. So it really just depends on what you feel comfortable doing. So I'm just gonna twirl it and twirl it. I'm gonna add a little bit of hot glue. And you know, if you see any extra, you can use like your nail to kind of take it away so that you don't have lots of glops. That's the reason why I don't really like using the hot glue on this portion with this cord, because this cord can be very unforgiving. But it just makes it a lot easier because you'd have to work as slow as you worked at the bottom with the black cord, because you were pretty much working on a flat, almost level space, it was easier. Whereas going upward or even working downward on a graduated slope is very difficult. So with the Mod Podge, it's very difficult. So that's the reason why I'm opting for the hot glue. But both will work. It just depends on how much time you have and how many of these you're going to make, because you may decide if this is for a special event and it's an intimate event and there's only 20 to 40, maybe 60 people, you may want to individually make one of these as your souvenir for the guests to take home with them. So if you have that kind of time, and it's I'm sorry, I got all tangled up here. If you have enough time to where you can make these way in advance, then, you know, by all means do that, because that would be a really, really nice souvenir for anyone, you know. And if they came together as a couple, then they've got a set too. But if you don't have time to do anything like that, then you may want to take your time and make it with the Mod Podge and just be patient with it. Because like I said, either way, it's going to be very, very beautiful. But you have options as to which method you would like to use to affix the cord to the glass. So just keep that in mind. There's no one single way to do this. And it's such a beautiful design, it really is, and so simple. But like I said, it will take you some patience and a little bit of time. Okay, that's almost perfect. We're ending just about where that last little bleb of glue is. So what I'm going to do, instead of adding more hot glue, I'm actually just going to use the tip to kind of soften the glue that's already there and affix it to make it smooth. And then for the little bit of glue that is left, I'm going to go ahead and use my blade. Please, I want to stress again, be extremely, extremely careful when working with sharp objects, because you really do not want to cut yourself. You really don't. So I'm just rocking the blade, and the reason I'm using this as opposed to an X-Acto knife is because the blade is longer, and so, you know, I'm just rocking it back and forth, not sawing it, and then I'm just gonna slide down little bit by rocking the blade to get to the area where I actually made my hash mark or my cut, and then I'm just gonna go right back into that and rock until it frees itself. And I'm just using the same method. You do not want to rush this, because you do not want to mess up all this work that you have done. And here we are, just about free. There, got that done. Now if you notice, I have a little bit of the cord left, and I'm not going to go ahead and affix it here because my seams are all in this line and I just don't want it to go further. So I'm just going to snip that off as close to I can as to where the glue is affixed, the rest of the cord to the glass. And so here is the basic look at how the design is turning out, how it's turned out. Now we move on to my favorite part and yours, which is kind of hard to believe that that's the decorating part when you've got a stem of glassware or stemware that looks as gorgeous as this already looks. But yes, I'm gonna bling it out, and I'm gonna do that with a Harley Davidson pin. Now, I know some of you guys who are into Harley Davidson are probably thinking, no, she's not gonna ruin that pin. And the answer to that is, unfortunately, yes. I'm gonna have to cut the nibs off of this pin because when I ordered it, I didn't know it was a pin with nibs on the back. I actually thought it was just like a pin that you would wear like for your brooches. So having said that, there's no way for me to affix the pin to the glass without doing this. So that's what I'm gonna have to do, and I'm having a hard time taking it off the cord. So I think what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and snip the pins, because that's what I have to do already. And just keep in mind that this is really for a great cause. It's for Miss Juanita's wedding, and she's definitely worth these pins. I think so, and I think she'll love the way I'm using them. Okay, so now that I have cut that off, look at that cute little pin, and it has a little Harley Davidson dangle, which I thought was adorable, and I thought that she would really enjoy it. So I'm gonna go ahead and with my hot glue, I'm going to affix it right here onto the glass to cover up that seam, and when I come back, I'll show you the final look. And so, what do you think? It's his and hers, Harley Davidson glasses. I think they both are really adorable. Miss Juanita, I hope that you really enjoy these particular champagne flutes for your wedding day, toasting to a beautiful marriage and a long marriage. And I really do think that these came out adorable. I might have to redo these and put them on my Etsy shop, because they're just really cute. And you know, it's definitely a specialty item, because no one else will have any exactly like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and definitely comment down below. If you have any suggestions or questions that you would like me to answer further in a tutorial or a video, send me an email about it. I've been getting requests lately for like baby showers and such like that, and other wedding centerpieces, which I'd love doing. Just send it to my email, which is down in the description box. And as always, have a wonderful evening. Bye.